Some people aren't failing because they're lazy. They're failing because their mind never stops talking. Even when they're resting, their brain is still replaying conversations, imagining worst-case scenarios, comparing themselves to strangers online, questioning every decision they make. And after years of this, they no longer trust themselves. Not because they're weak, but because they've been mentally exhausted for too long. The world praises people who think ahead, but nobody talks about what happens when thinking becomes a prison. You begin analyzing everything: your future, your relationships, your purpose, your identity, and eventually, you become disconnected from the present moment. Your body is here, but your mind is living in 10 imaginary futures at once. That's why so many people today feel empty, even when nothing is technically wrong. Because peace is impossible when your mind is constantly at war with itself. Modern life quietly trains people to feel inadequate. Every scroll reminds you someone is richer, more attractive, more productive, more successful. And slowly, your worth becomes tied to achievement. You stop asking, "Am I happy?" and start asking, "Am I doing enough?" This creates a generation that looks functional on the outside, but emotionally exhausted inside. People wake up tired, not from work, from carrying the pressure of becoming someone else. There's an old idea that says, suffering doesn't begin when life is hard. It begins when the mind refuses to accept the present moment. Think about it. Most anxiety isn't happening now. It's happening in imagination. The mind keeps saying, "I'll be okay when I become successful, when I heal, when people finally understand me." But peace built on future conditions is fragile because the future never arrives the way we expect. Real growth is not becoming a different person. It's becoming less afraid of being yourself. It's learning how to sit alone without needing distraction, learning how to breathe without rushing, learning how to exist without constantly proving your value. Because the people who heal deeply are not always the loudest or most confident. Sometimes they are simply the ones who finally stopped running from themselves. Maybe your life isn't falling apart. Maybe your mind is simply tired of carrying a version of you that was never real. And maybe the next chapter of your life begins the moment you stop trying to become someone worthy and finally learn how to be present.